These are the worst betrayals in NFL history. And first, one player's betrayal cost him 2 Super Bowl rings. Tyreek Hill used to have it all. After the Chiefs drafted him, he made 6 consecutive Pro Bowls. He became the league's fastest player and even won a Super Bowl. But in 2022, he dropped a bombshell that no one saw coming.
It would be some games where like I get 2 targets, I get 3 targets. We'll go into meetings and my coach would be like, hey, we got to get you involved. We got to get you involved. And I'm like,
nah, y'all need to get me involved yesterday. Don't tell me about it today.
Exactly. Like, you know how to, the feeling. So I'm calling my agent every week after they say some crazy stuff like that. Like, bro, I got to get out of here.
So let me ask you a question.
See, my man was jealous. Instead of becoming the game's top receiver, he became the dreaded third wheel.
You signed this huge contract, and now they want to wrap you in bubble wrap.
Kids having some fun with each other.
We got to keep fighting as
After everything the Chiefs accomplished, Hill was willing to throw it all away. And so the Chiefs traded him to the Miami Dolphins for a whopping 5 draft picks. And after losing his best wide receiver, Patrick Mahomes was devastated. That's when Hill decided to make it personal.
You had an opportunity to pick between Tua or pick between Zach Wilson. What was the determining factor in that?
I said it once and I'll say it again. You know, Zach Wilson is a dog, but I'd rather play with the most accurate quarterback in the NFL, dog.
As if things weren't bad enough, Hill had the best season of his career. But in the playoffs, Hill's worst fear came true. Against his former team, the Chiefs clapped back, holding Hill to a single catch. And ultimately, Mahomes got the last laugh. The Chiefs didn't just send this dude to Cancun, they won the Super Bowl. Then in 2023, Hill watched it demise as his former team won their 2nd straight championship. Meanwhile, Saquon Barkley's betrayal turned his former team into the league's biggest laughingstock. Heading into the 2024 offseason, all Giants fans prayed for one thing: Saquon Barkley's return. Heck, even the owner started praying.
I'm gonna have a tough time sleeping if Saquon goes to Philadelphia, I'll tell you that. He's the most popular player we have by far.
Little did they know, their dream would turn into a nightmare. Saquon didn't just leave the Giants, he joined their biggest rival, the Philadelphia Eagles. And afterward, no one was more pissed than the Giants' all-time lead rusher, Tiki Barber.
But the fact that Saquon would even contemplate going to play for that team in Philadelphia is insulting to his Giant history and legacy.
But it turns out, Barber had it all wrong. Saquon didn't turn his back on the Giants turned their back on him.
I already told you where I want to be, so.
Okay. All right, well, let's do that. We'll go out and see what the market says. I think it's the right thing to do. I love you, man. I appreciate everything you did for the organization, the 2 years I was here, and I'm not saying we're not going to get something done, but I think it's right if for some reason it doesn't work out that you know that the organization thinks the world of you and everything you've done. But
how could the Giants not pay their top player when their quarterback Daniel Jones was making 3 times his asking price? But that was only the beginning. In the ultimate sign of karma, Barkley made history, becoming the 8th running back to rush 2,000 yards in a season. Meanwhile, the Giants released Daniel Jones before the season was even over. Another player is proving everyone wrong. When the Rams selected Jared Goff first overall in 2016, fans expected him to be their franchise quarterback of the future. In his first 5 seasons, he led the Rams to the playoffs 3 times, even leading them to the Super Bowl. But Goff failed to win a championship, and the entire organization doubted him. So in 2021, the Rams traded their franchise quarterback to the Lions for a shiny new prize, Matthew Stafford. And instead of proving the doubters wrong, Goff responded with one of his worst seasons. In 14 games with the Lions, Goff only won 3 games. And to make matters worse, the Rams ended up winning the Super Bowl. So heading into the following season, it became painfully obvious. Jared Goff was the problem. But 2 years later, the unthinkable happened. Goff turned his career around, leading the Lions to their first playoff appearance since 2016. It had been over 30 years since the Lions' last playoff win, and now they were on the precipice of history. But standing in their way was a familiar opponent, the Los Angeles Rams. This was Jared Goff's opportunity to prove his doubters wrong and eliminate the team that kicked him to the curb.
They are the 3. Goff strokes it in the middle. Reynolds is on fire. Goff looking to throw. Throws back in the end zone. Laporta!
The same guy who everyone counted out successfully ended the Lions' 31-season playoff drought.
Okay, I'll just say it like this. All right? Hey, you're good enough for Detroit, Jay.
Hey, I love and appreciate you guys more than you fucking know. I promise you that. I love you guys so fucking much. This is just the beginning, boys.
But Goff Steph isn't the only one proving the doubters wrong, because Josh Allen, yeah, he's having the best season of his career, making him the MVP frontrunner. However, fans can't help but notice who's missing: Stephon Diggs, the guy who turned Allen into a superstar, the man who's been his go-to weapon for years. The Diggs to Allen connection was supposed to be unstoppable, but in the 2023 playoffs, when Allen needed Diggs the most, his star receiver threw a temper tantrum. Against the Bengals, Diggs started yelling at Allen on the sidelines. Following the loss, he stormed out of the stadium just minutes later. In the offseason, tensions only heightened. Diggs skipped mandatory minicamp. A year later, the Bills decided to finally end Stephon Diggs' experiment by trading him and drafting his replacement, Keon Coleman. That's when Allen said this:
Steph's a great player, and what he brought to this team was special. Miss is I don't know if I'd say miss. You know, he was a guy that was reliable. You can look to. He's going to have the juice each and every day. I'm sure he's bringing it over there in Houston. So definitely, yeah, you can't say that you don't miss that. But I am very happy with what we got going on here and how hard the guys have been working. And yeah,
it's crazy to think they went from this
playing with this guy, practicing with this guy. He's a guy that can do it, and you just want to play for him. You know, he works hard. He busts his not the A word. He busts his A word, and I just love this guy, man. That's it.
To this. But Bill Belichick got the opposite of karma, because he ditched his team in less than 24 hours. To many, Belichick will go down as the greatest coach of all time. In 24 seasons with the Patriots, he won an unprecedented 6 Super Bowls, but he almost never coached the Patriots to begin with. In 1999, he was the associate head coach of the New York Jets, under the legendary Bill Parcells. But once Parcells abruptly retired, Belichick was thrust into action as the new head coach. That said, there was a major question mark. When Jets owner Leon Hess passed away, it turned into a massive bidding war. Suddenly, the Jets' leadership became a huge enigma. That's when a napkin changed everything. On this fateful napkin, Belichick wrote the sentence that would haunt Jet fans for years: "I resign as head coach of the New York Jets." And what happened next left everyone speechless.
The new owner, yet to be determined, is a question mark. The leadership from the new owner, yet to be determined, is a question mark. And my role in all that is another question mark.
Less than 24 hours after taking over, Belichick officially resigned. 4 weeks later, he became the head coach of the New England Patriots. In the 25 years since, the Jets have made the playoffs just 6 times, whereas the Patriots have made the playoffs 17 times. But one betrayal that few expected was the downfall of 2 teammates, Donovan McNabb and Terrell Owens. By 2004, McNabb had led the Eagles to 3 straight NFC Championship games, only to come up short every single time. So the Eagles made a power move and brought in Terrell Owens. McNabb and Owens already had a connection from past Pro Bowls where they'd hit it off. These two were supposed to be unstoppable, and at first, they were. In their first season together, they powered the Eagles all the way to the Super Bowl. But in the biggest game of their lives, McNabb threw 3 interceptions and even started puking. That's because the night before, this man was too busy partying.
Personally, I didn't see it, but there are guys, and I know that there are teammates that I've talked to recently that said that they saw him throw up in the huddle. I've talked to teammates since then and know for a fact that he was out the night before.
And Owens was fuming, so he put this man on blast. The following season, things got even worse, as Owens claimed he would rather have Brett Favre at quarterback.
Your friend, Michael Irvin, recently said that if Brett Favre was the starting quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles, they'd be undefeated right now. What do you think of that comment?
I mean, that's a good assessment. I would agree with that.
But in the offseason, Owens completely imploded. He demanded a new contract, criticized McNabb in the media, and even staged a driveway workout when the Eagles suspended him.
The helicopters and everybody is around my house. I just tried to have fun with it, entertaining the reporters, and I was working out at the same time.
And this left the Eagles with no choice but to release Owens. What once started as a friendship had turned into the ultimate betrayal. As bad as that is, Aaron Rodgers once got betrayed by the person he least expected. In 2004, many expected Rodgers to be the first overall pick by the 49ers, but instead, he fell over 20 picks to the Green Bay Packers.
We draft based on what we consider to be the best player available, or we try to. I told him at the time when I made the call and then told him we were going to pick him that I thought maybe some divine intervention had played a part.
With the 24th selection in the 2004 2025 NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers select Aaron Rodgers, quarterback, California.
When everyone passed on him, there was one man who believed in him, Packers general manager Ted Thompson. Fast forward 15 years later, and Aaron Rodgers was a two-time MVP and a Super Bowl champ. That said, there was one major dilemma. By 2020, it had been a decade since the Packers made the last Super Bowl, and heading into the draft, the Packers desperately needed receiver help. They hadn't picked a first-round receiver in nearly 20 years. By the 26th pick, they couldn't wait any longer.
26th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers select Jordan Love, quarterback.
Instead of helping Aaron Rodgers, they did the exact opposite.
I can just imagine you there, that you got Tequila there and the Packers, and they're going to take a wide receiver here. Of course we are. And the Packers take Jordan Love. Did you know they were taking him prior to the pick?
No, I found out 5 seconds before the layaway.
The Packers stabbed Rodgers in the back. And just when it couldn't get any worse, Rodgers learned this.
I don't think a lot of people, at least in our camp, thought that Jordan would have been there when we were picking, and the opportunity presented itself, and it was an opportunity that Ted Thompson thought was too good to pass up.
The same guy who advocated for Rodgers advocated for his replacement, but just when his team wrote him off, he responded with the greatest statistical season of his career. Rodgers completed a league-high 71% of his passes, over 4,200 yards and 48 touchdowns. Instead of getting benched, he won his third MVP. That said, Geno Smith didn't just get written off. He suffered a career-altering injury. By 2015, Geno was at a crossroads. After 2 unsuccessful seasons as a starter, this was his last chance to secure the starting job. Little did he know, his chance would be over before the season even began. See, in the offseason, Geno did his teammate dirty. His teammate, Ike Enemkpali, invited him to help with his youth football camp. But at the last minute, Geno bailed for personal reasons. His only problem? His teammate already paid for a $600 plane ticket. So naturally, the right thing would be to refund his teammate for the plane ticket. But nah, Geno was so selfish, he didn't bother to pay for his ticket. That's when Enemkpali confronted him in the locker room and sucker punched him. And Enemkpali must have been livid, because Geno ended up with a broken jaw. Safe to say, Geno has come a long way since this incident. On the other hand, Bill O'Brien's betrayal costed him his reputation and future. See, O'Brien established himself as one of the league's top coaches. In his first 6 seasons, the Texans only had 1 losing season. Yet, the Texans were desperate for a championship. Despite 5 winning records, they failed to make it past the second round. That's when the Texans gave O'Brien all the power. As of 2022, he became the team's coach and general manager. That's when he shipped away the team's best players for pennies. He traded 4-time Pro Bowler DeAndre Hopkins to the Cardinals for running back David Johnson and a second-round pick. And it didn't take long before it turned into one of the worst trades of all time. Hopkins had one of the best seasons of his career, with over 1,400 yards and the catch of the year.
6 seconds. Murray heaves it downfield. It is. Oh, it's caught. It is caught. DeAndre Hopkins.
Meanwhile, Bill O'Brien was fired only after 4 games. But that still wasn't even the pettiest trade, because Josh McDaniels crossed the line that no coach should ever cross. In 2023, he leaked Darren Waller's wedding to WNBA player Kelsey Plum. And Waller was pissed, because the last thing he wanted was paparazzi at his wedding. He was so pissed that McDaniels didn't even get an invite to the wedding. And instead of letting it go, his coach retaliated. 10 days after his wedding, McDaniel traded a star tight end to the New York Giants for a merely 3rd-round pick. Daniels' personal vendetta ruined the man's career. But next up, Antonio Brown used his vendetta to ruin an iconic bromance. Brown used to be the league's best receiver, but everything changed with Juju Smith-Schuster. AB took Juju under his wing and turned him into a superstar. In their first year together, they combined for nearly 2,500 receiving yards. But in 2018, things took a dark turn. After leading the league with 15 receiving touchdowns, AB once again solidified himself as the league's best receiver, or so he thought. When it came to pick a team MVP, his teammates picked Juju over him. Safe to say, AB didn't appreciate this.
MVP is the most valuable player that, go out there and put his soul on the line, heart on the line, to be able to help the team win. So in my mind, that's how I look at it. And those guys were looking at it as like we're trying to build up another player to try to be who I am. And in the midst of that, I was just like, we ain't gonna never win with this type of energy. So I'm gonna just request, just test the market and do what's best for me. And
dude was about to congratulate his teammate. That said, AB was about to lose his mind. During that week's practice, Big Ben snapped at his diva receiver. After AB ran the wrong route, Ben threw the ball on the ground and said, "Get him out of here, get somebody else in there." That's when AB went off the rails, refusing to play in their Week 17 matchup. Then in the offseason, he refused to answer calls from his coaches and quarterback.
I was so hurt at that point, I probably just blocked his number. But
leaving the Steelers no choice but to move on from their 8-time Pro Bowler. Which brings us to the biggest betrayal in NFL history. Tom freaking Brady. Yeah, the guy who built the Patriots dynasty. 6 Super Bowls, 20 years of dominance, and the golden boy of New England. But in 2020, everything changed. See, for years, Brady and Belichick had been the ultimate duo. The GOAT QB and the GOAT coach taking the league by storm. But behind the scenes, tension was building. Brady felt like he wasn't getting the respect he deserved. Instead, Belichick treated him just like another player and failed to surround him with a better supporting cast. And then came the bombshell. Brady walked. After 20 years with New England, Brady left the only team he ever knew for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a team that hadn't even sniffed a Super Bowl since 2003. Patriot fans were stunned. He was supposed to be a lifer, but Brady wasn't done. In his first season with the Bucs, he took the team all the way to the Super Bowl and won.
For the Chiefs, Brady goes sideline, and he has his man. Announcer jinxes. Here's Brady's pass. It's Gronkowski. Looking. Third option. End zone. Caught. There's the fake. There's the pass. And there's the catch for the touchdown.
For Patriot fans, it was a dagger to the heart. Watching Brady host the Lombardi Trophy in a Bucs jersey, this wasn't just a betrayal. It was a full-blown nightmare. But do you know what the best medicine for